How's it going, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, stickers of the C.A.N Report. Nozzle Toff again. Nice to see everybody. I'm with my good friend, Donovan Carrasco. He is from Texas, and I am so happy to have him on my platform today. I think we're going to get a lot out of him. I met Donovan actually pretty much through social media. We actually became Instagram friends first, and then we finally met in person in Long Island, and I've been wanting to get him on my podcast for quite some time, and it's finally happened. Donovan has a great career. He also is the owner of the Coyote Fire Training. Many people know him in the Texas area and New York area, pretty much throughout the states. He's been making his way around, and he is one solid brother. Donovan started his career in a small suburb fire department in Austin, Texas in 2015, and then he started a job in Hutto, Texas. I said that right?
It's
Hutto
Hutto,
or
but
Hutto?
it's close.
Okay. In 2018, moving through the ranks and becoming, he was promoted to lieutenant. And then he recently accepted a job offer at Cedar Park Fire Department in 2024, starting over as a firefighter. And through his years on the job, he's continued his education as a student, learning different techniques and skills. His passion is truck ops. And when it comes to the job, he's currently assigned to the Special Ops Station. He looks forward to continue his education there. He's also a member of the Affordable Drill Towers. And I'm going to butcher this name. He is assistant to Steve
Sanguinochi.
whenever he's needed on his days off. When he has the time, he's also an instructor at the Austin Community College Fire Academy. Man, did I leave anything out? You got anything else for that?
Just became a member with Seaside Consultants with Larry D.
Nice. That guy is nice. I like him. That's the first time I got to meet him in Long Island, and he was really cool. But Donovan, thank you so much for being on my show today. Last minute too, man. We just threw this together last night and said, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. And I am so happy to have you, man. I'm happy to call you a friend. I'm happy to call you a brother. You are, man, everywhere you meet, everywhere I hear from, like, Donovan's such a nice guy. And it was great to actually connect with you and at the Joey D conference and see your work and us connect. And I'm just pumped to have you, man. So I'm glad we got it to do it, man. That's great.
Thank you for having me, man.
My pleasure, bro. Absolutely. So we'll dive into it. So we'll go off again about in your promo here, in your bio, you said that you actually weren't on that long, really, if you think about it. You were in a small suburb department in Austin, Texas, in 2015. What was the change for? You then left not that long after, and what was up with that?
So you talking about the very first one, department? Yeah. Man, it was a super small department. There's a lot of things of like districts when it comes to it. Like the apartments across from us weren't even in our district. It was like AFD's Austin apartments, and like our district would be completely behind us. It was a very small district. It wasn't retirement at the time either. It was just kind of, it was tough. It was a tough decision to stay there, just because of wanting to make a family, have retirement and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a fire there, that really shifted the path of my career as well. It's kind of eye-opening. So that fire actually started everything for me. It actually inspired me to start my own company. It inspired me to reach out to other people, seek different training, network. That's where it all started, actually, is in that very small department.
Tell me about that fire. What was it that was like eye-opening, that was life-changing for you, that inspired you to change departments?
Yeah. So knowing what I know now, it was pretty much like a Reno 911 fire. It was like Tacoma FD. There's a video on it on YouTube, and I'll send it to you. It was rough. It's rough. Just looking at what we provided and just looking at the training that was not there, it was obvious. It was a huge eye-opener. Looking at the video of myself, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm like, I don't even know how this was even possible that I did this.
So what was it? What were some things that, was it mistakes? Was it lack of training?
It was all of it, man. You name it, okay. It's there. Yeah, like not knowing how to do search, not knowing the precautions of even doing like search tactics. Forcible entry wasn't there. Like it was just bad, man. There was just a lot of empty space for tactics and
What
training.
did you have? Like was it was there people trapped? Was it reported to people trapped?
No,
Was it
we had
like
it was complacency. It was the fire alarm. That the fire alarm, and it was an apartment fire. It was a fire alarm that upgraded to a full blown structure fire. Um, a little smoke showing. We've all done it, or some are still doing it, not bunking out for fire alarms. Yeah, showed up. No one was bunked out. No one was ready to do work, and it happened to be a small column of smoke coming from the walls, and then it just upgraded to losing the whole entire building.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So when you got off the rig, were you ready?
I was halfway ready. I had no suspenders on. So where we had to make entry is a Knox box. There's a Knox box gate, and I had to jump out. There's no excuse. I'm just letting you know, right?
Sure.
Jumped out, and then my suspenders got caught into the door.
Ooh.
I rolled with it. So in the video, you can see me without suspenders, and it's bad.
You just
Like it,
tore them right off?
they're dangling there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was just bad. So I was stepping up as an officer like a year and a half into the fire service.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just on top of stuff. We had battalion chiefs who were stepping up to chiefs that from other departments. For example, another department, we had a battalion chief hook up a hydrant into a discharge. So that caused the whole pump to cavitate. Like it
Wow.
was on top of another, man. It was rough. It was rough.
How long were you in the fire service for? So you said you were only a year and a half in?
Year and a half, yeah.
Right. How old were you?
I think I just turned 21.
Wow. And how much? So before that, you never had any experience, right? This was your full-time job there, or was that were you a call or volunteer guy?
I did a little bit of volunteer work there at that department, but like probably this was my first time full blown fire job.
Wow. So that was your
hmm
first full-time job in the fire service,
hmm
and then you're riding the seat with only a year and a half of experience.
Yeah,
And how many people were on that department at that time?
that time we had five. It was staff of five. It was one department. We ran a quint and an engine.
What were your shifts?
24/48s. AVC.
So did you? So that was only five on shift. How big is your like? Was there actually more than five people for that whole department, or
Yeah, so the whole department you probably had maybe 15. I would say 15. It was
okay?
the numbers were low.
Yeah. Wow, that is an eye-opening experience of all the
hmm
things you're saying.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand too of complacency. That's just another fire alarm activation, and we don't have to get geared up for this. And then you roll up and you got smoke and fire going. That's
Yeah.
and
I'm not
you're
doing
already
it.
behind the eight ball.
I
Yeah,
won't do it again. I won't do it again,
yeah,
man. I'll take the trash talking from anyone saying that it's a little bit much, but I'm not going to do it again. There's no way.
yeah, man.
So
So that experience then opened up your eyes, and you were only a year and a half in. Were you like, I'm going to start looking for other departments, or did you continue to try to improve things within your department and say, hey guys, we can't do this again, and keep on training and try to get standards up? And or did they not really listen to you because you're the new guy and just be quiet and do your thing?
I would say it was more of I started looking for departments because I didn't know that I could speak up about this and say it's the standards and stuff like that. I didn't know about that. I didn't have the mentors that I have now at the time. So I was just looking for another department. I felt uneasy. It was like, oh, it's time to head out. One, you don't have a retirement. Two, this was not. It was rough. I had one mentor there. He worked for Austin Fire Department. He worked part time at this department,
Hmm.
full time Austin, and he talked to me and he was like that performance was rough. So I'm like, and I looked up to him. He was actually my officer before I moved shifts, and his words saying that was rough. I was like, ah, man, that's not.
Wow.
Yeah, it was more like the cool uncle that just tells you that he was disappointed. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, there's nothing worse when you definitely with people you look up to and respect so much. and they don't have to yell at you when they do that whole disappointment speech or that disappointment look.
Yeah.
That'll carry a whole lot more weight than someone
Yes.
screaming at you for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Because being pissed off is different than disappointing somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like getting yelled at is just anger, and that's you just call them an asshole and move on. But
Yep.
when that person actually does that dad speech and gets disappointed with you, that carries a lot more weight. That really hurts
Yes.
you right in the heart.
It does.
That's for sure. Yeah, man. So then you accepted the job in Hutto, correct?
Hutto. Yep.
Hutto.
Yep.
I'm eventually gonna get that right.
You're gonna
Hutto.
get it. It's okay, man. You're all good.
I mean, we have, like it's New Hampshire, right? We in New England, we've got Worcester and Haverhill, and people can't say that either.
I
So
wouldn't be able to say these names. There's no way.
So yeah, so you changed departments, and
Mhm.
then was it a good change?
It was a good change in the beginning. I would say, man, probably my last year was probably rough. Maybe last 2 years. It was a good change. I met some great people there. Like I said, I really enjoyed my shift when I was there. I had a captain that was he'd give you the shirt off his back, had a battalion chief who looked for you or looked out for you as much as he could. And then I made some good brothers there too. So it was a good change at first. It just you know as more as I go to trainings, I start identifying more stuff. So
Sure. So that was in 2018, and then you moved through the ranks and you got promoted to lieutenant there.
hmm
Were you able to institute some changes did you feel there was any deficiencies? I mean, I know it's really hard, especially when you start to get more years in and you go to a new department.
yeah,
I always think that when you have an outside person come in, join your department, they can see things with fresh eyes.
hmm
It's not necessarily the department's doing something wrong, but when you have a new fresh face and new fresh eyes come in as a new member, they have some really great ideas that sometimes they've seen from their department, and they can bring it into now this other department they've just joined. But it's also difficult to the guy's already there, like, what do you know, right? You can't
yeah,
tell me I'm doing to do something different, or we don't want your ideas, you're brand new to our department, you don't
yeah,
know anything yet.
yes,
Did you try to institute anything? Did you see anything? I mean, sometimes you don't need to see anything. Sometimes it's there's nothing wrong, or they're not doing anything necessarily wrong, but there's no changes that need to be made. When you
yeah.
went to that department, did you see anything that maybe, hey, I can help improve things?
Man, I went to that department and uh, my approach was to be is more of like I don't want that fire to happen to me again, and I don't want that to happen to anyone else. So when I joined, I really started to find trainings. I went to go to different trainings, and when I did that, I started to identify where we were, I guess, lacking. What we could improve on. So maybe within the first 2 years, I was training hard. I was investing in myself. I was spending money just like I'm doing now, but I was doing it pretty frequent in those first 2 years. When I started to do that, I started to find my mentors that I still look up to today, and they started to help me out with these battles that we're talking about. Like identifying different things. And something that really helped me through these years when I worked there is finding out how to talk to someone and how to approach it with someone. That helped me. I was never really taught that beginning of my fire career. I had to find that out by myself
Hmm.
going to training. So you can't come into a department saying that we're doing it wrong. I believe Sean Duffy says that. He's like, you can't go to a department and say that we're doing wrong. Everyone's going to shut down, right?
Yep.
So listening to these different guys helped me piece it together of what we started to work on and where we still lacked. I would say the approach was a little bit different. I was still learning when I even joined that department.
How many years were you on there before you got promoted?
Mm, Man, it was a short time. I'd say maybe
Yeah,
3 years, 2 years.
as I say, because you went to a different department in 2024, so
Yeah,
it definitely wasn't that long. You left in 2015, and in 2018 you joined, and then looks like shortly after you got promoted.
yeah.
How was it being an officer, being so new on that department?
It was good, man. I liked it. I liked it because I was very training driven and I was able to share the things that I have invested in myself with others. And that was probably the coolest thing. I was able to see people grow from when they started with me as rookie and they worked themselves up to 1 year, and it was cool to see people grow. Like you could see that these people were hungry to do the job, and
Hmm.
that made me feel good. I would say the biggest thing, and you can ask anyone from over there, I hated admin. I hated it, hated it, hated it. Oh my gosh. My battalion chief was on me. I could not stand the admin portion. There were things when it came to the admin portion that I didn't feel were as important as training the personnel that needs the training. And when it came to the admin portion, I felt like we spent too much time on it. You know, I don't want to speak for all departments, stuff like that, but that was probably the worst part for me was the admin portion.
I think, and I mean, imagine just because you were the officer, you had to do a lot of the admin stuff, all the
Mm-hmm.
paperwork and report writing. Man, I never really understood it. When I was coming through the call part of things and started enjoying getting more involved, I always thought like you had to promote, you got to promote, you got to promote, you got to promote, right? Like that's,
Yeah.
and I didn't understand, especially for career side things. I never understood why these 20, 30-year guys were still linemen, and they they didn't want to get off from the back seat. They they had so much time in and so much experience, and there were such great people at this job. And I'm like, why aren't they lieutenants yet? Why aren't they captains? And then as I started to get more into it, and after 5 years or more, I started to realize like it really isn't what it's all cracked up to be. And on my side of my experience of the call side of it, we 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 rode the front seat. I was a lieutenant for my call department, but it was really just a title. We didn't do anything. We didn't do a whole lot of report writing, right?
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs handled all the bigger calls. The Chiefs handled all the training. The Chiefs, they did everything. But when the call comes in, I got to sit in their front right seat. I got to talk on the radio, and I got to hopefully tell my crew what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, we kind of had like a micromanager, so it was really he was telling everyone what needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just there. We didn't do anything. And then I realized now for career side of things, yeah, you're doing a lot more, but that comes with a lot more paperwork, a lot more office time, and you're missing the time of actually getting to train with your guys and really getting to sit down and hang out with them because you have to do all those reports and
Mm-hmm.
and all the job performance reviews, and man, it just becomes tedious and boring. So I finally understood why a lot of guys don't want to move up because it's not that fun. It's sitting in an office can be super boring.
Yeah.
And if you try to put that off and want to hang with the guys and train with the guys and do what you used to do for 20 something years,
Yeah.
like you just said, like, man, your chief's going to be on you because, hey, I need these reports. Hey, you need to fill this out. You need to do that. And you're like, man, but I just want to hang with the dudes. I want to pull some lines. I don't want to do this report.
Yep. It was rough,
Yeah,
man.
That's tedious.
It is. Yeah. You hit it right on the head, man. Like it just was rough. Like, I'm a family guy, so I like to hang out with the crew as much as I could. And I had a good crew, so I liked my time with them. So I bought a computer just so I can do reports on the recliner and just hang out with them. And that still didn't work. Like, we would venture off to go play board games, and now I'm 10 reports deep, and then I need you to do those reports. Like, dang. Yeah, I'll do it.
So that leads me into this next part. So you then changed, you got a job offer at Cedar Park. Now you changed departments. Was it because it was like becoming that stagnant part? It wasn't exciting anymore?
Yeah, I would say so, man. When I was in the officer role, you fight these battles as an officer, with other officers. There's other battles that your crew may not know that's happening, and that's how it should be. These battles that I was doing with some of the officers meetings, it was to a point where it's rough. I was feeling outnumbered. A good friend of mine who I call a brother, he just promoted me into that officer. He said, "Hey, just wait, just give me some time, and you and I will take over together." And I was so far gone. And
When
I
you say
told him,
so far gone, were you so far gone just disenchanted with what you were doing? Like you just like no love, no passion.
yeah,
You're
it
just
was,
done mentally. Like I
yeah.
can't do this
It
anymore.
was rough. Like I was spending more time thinking about how to change the world within this apartment rather than I was spending time with my family. I was bringing it home a lot. I wasn't having anger or anything toward my family. I was just mentally not here, present for my family because I'm trying to figure out how to do these battles, and I felt alone. felt alone doing these battles a lot of the time. It was worth it. There were some battles that were worth it. There were some battles that were not, and it just, so the battles that were not worth it became to be more onto my plate. So I was having less small wins. Does that make sense? Less small wins.
Oh, absolutely.
It just became more of like, hey, we lost again. Hey, we lost again. We lost again. And I could see it within my crew. Like I started to bring it back to even my crew, and I hate the negativity of things when it comes to being an officer, and I was starting to do that a lot.
What were some of the wins? What were you or what was the losses, I should say? What do you remember? Was it operational? Was it
was
tactics?
operational. It was operational. There were things that I was seeing from that apartment fire that I was seeing as operational within that department that we could have changed. And it was more of like, oh, well, Donovan's just being Donovan. It's like I've changed my approach to several different people many times. So it's not Donovan just being Donovan. You're just not listening at this point. I've talked to you like a therapist. I've talked to you like a counselor. I've talked to you like a teacher. And I've talked to you just like a man. None of them are working. So it's not me just being me. You're just not wanting to listen. You're being a very reactive person, so you're not being proactive, and I don't want that. The community doesn't deserve that. Our personnel doesn't deserve that, so let's be proactive. And being the proactive side of things just wasn't there, and I don't want to speak ill about that department. I like the chief. Some people had issues with the chief. I didn't mind the chief, man. It was probably from the officer role is where it really started, I would say. So,
man, it makes a lot of sense. I think we're still fighting that battle. I think everywhere in the fire service, we just we have reactive admin, and it's not shitting on any particular person or departments. I'm just saying, as a whole, we do still have a lot of reactives instead of proactives, and I think this, honestly, the fire service is built on reactive. I mean, that's how we've gotten these changes, right? Like, something bad happened, and so we had to make that change. We didn't know that bad thing was going to happen, so we couldn't be proactive about it. Luckily now we've got so much data, we've got so much knowledge, but the fire service is always changing. It's very fluid, and we're still going to be reactive to things. We don't know everything that's going to come our way. 9/11, right? We could never prepare for that. We couldn't be proactive for that. That's everything that came after that. We became reactive. So we do our best to try to plan for everything, but we can only do so much. And like you said, those tiny battles, I think it helps with being proactive, but there's just certain things you can't. I mean, I understand too, like budgets, right? But that's usually the biggest, I think, from my previous experiences, usually budgets. Usually that's the biggest excuse that I always hear is, well, our training budget is low, we can't do this, or our line items can't afford that. So and you keep getting on your admin, hey, do we have it yet? Do we have that money yet? Do we have that budget yet? And it's always usually, well, not this year. And I think for me, those were the battles I always kept trying to push forward and try to win. Is, like, I want to see some changes, not big changes, but, and it usually comes down to money. So I definitely feel your pain on that, and I think that's amazing to keep trying to push. And like you said, I like those small battles or those small wins that you have. And you didn't lose focus, but I understand coming home and that's all you can think about. It consumes you.
Oh, and man,
that's a tough one.
It is tough. Like, again, I'm not good at the admin stuff. So, like, getting mounds of emails and have your work phone, that's issued to you. Again, got to bring that home. It's like, I just got to the point of like, why am I going to have this on at home? There's just no point.
You got to turn off. You got to unplug. I mean, there's no way to relax if that phone's constantly going off. And then if you, like, a lot of guys also they still stay on as volunteers in other departments. So you've got your full-time career dinging in, you got a company phone that's constantly going off, and then you got your pager on the other side of the fence going off as well. And you feel guilty for not helping them out when they need help, but you need to help your family out. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we take on a little too much, and we need to unplug and focus on our family and focus on our health. And cool. So you started over and you went to Cedar Park.
Yeah.
Now, how old were you when you then joined Cedar Park?
28. So yeah, I just had a
28.
birthday, so 28.
So this is your third time being a probie.
Yeah. There
How
is.
was that?
Man, I would say it could be worse. It definitely could be worse. I have a good group of people within that department who don't treat me as a probie. I treat myself as a probie. You know, I have a lot of people who notice me doing the training, who acknowledge that. I have some good group of people there who are allowing me to just come in and do the probie timeline and just do some good work. So I have some good group of people over there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We had this conversation when we were in New York, and I've talked about it before too, about being an older probie, you know, being 45 and joining a whole new department with a whole new bunch of people. And I took on the same route. Like, I'm going to be a probie, and I'm cool with that. You know, I signed up for that, and it takes a lot of pride to be the best probie you can be. I want to show to them I wanted to be here. And like you said, going through those trainings, and I know there was a lot of people on my side like, oh, well, you taught a bulk of us here at the fire academy, because I love doing that, and I'm there. And so then them being on this department and seeing me walk through the door as now someone who is junior to them and having to learn their ways, I was like, no, man, you're here. You know this department. You know this community. Teach me. Don't think of me as the you know, as your instructor or somebody who's got whatever kind of time in. I'm new. I'm brand new, and I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna grab that broom. I'm gonna sweep that floor. I'm gonna clean that toilet. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna give it my all for the trainings. And I think especially going in when you have that experience beforehand, more experience than a lot of other people, I think it takes a lot more work to be that humble person. Or, you know, if you haven't learned it yet, I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people. It took me, it was a big slap in the face when I learned to be humble and have humility. You know, especially when you're on your previous departments and you start knowing a lot more stuff, and you get a little more, you get cocky. We're firefighters. We get cocky. Yeah. You know, and then something bad happens, or maybe your cockiness is becoming a little too much and people can't stand it. And you get slapped in that face with that brush, and they say, dude, you need to knock it down a bit. And that's when you go, feel shit. That's right. It's like becoming sober. It really is. It's like you're going through your steps now, because you're like, shit, man. All right. And it's a big thing. And going into new departments and keeping your mouth shut, even though if you know what they're doing is right or wrong, or you want to give some little extra tips there. You just, until they ask you, hey, what do you got? And that was really cool. I remember doing training with when I was still on probation, and I think we were doing some hose advancement, and I'm watching, I'm learning, I'm seeing what my officers are teaching, I'm seeing what the senior guys are teaching. And my battalion chief looked over at me and goes, Mike, I know you teach this. I know you know this. Go ahead. You can do this. You can teach them. You can say something. I was like, no, chief, I'm good. I'm really enjoying this learning. He's like, no, but trust me, you got something to give. Please give it. We want that. And man, that meant cool. So much to me. It was super cool. I actually tears me up just a little bit, because that was it. I was accepted, you know, and I wasn't dismissed. And
like you were previously.
Yes, 100%, man. And that meant so much to me. I remember my previous department, we were talking about having a building to use for a possible RIT class. And I was so excited. I love doing RIT. I love teaching RIT. That's why I'll sign up for Rob Ramirez's classes, and I'll sign up for anything that's got going on for RIT, because, man, I enjoy it. I think it's so important. And I was so pumped when he said, yeah, we're going to get a building for RIT. And I was like, great, I can help you teach it. You know, I am an instructor. I take these classes. I'm so pumped. And immediately as I said, I'm going to teach this with you. No, you're not. You can't teach this. And I've been on the department for over 10 years. What? No, you can't teach it. You're not signed off on it. You don't have a certification in it, right?
Man, dude.
And I'm like, what? Like, this is our department teaching it. This isn't a
Yeah.
CREF course. We have our numbers, our CREF courses. Like, this isn't going to be this isn't a certification class. This is a department class. We're teaching
Yeah.
our members these skills and knowledge. Like,
Hmm.
so he just immediately dismissed me.
Yeah.
Like I had no knowledge to give, that I was just beneath him. And I was like, wow, all right, I guess
Yeah.
I'll sit over here and F myself,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to have that other department go, yeah, Mike, I know you've got the knowledge. I know you've got the skills. Show us, please. We want this. This is why we hired you.
Yeah.
Show us.
Yeah.
And that meant the world to me. It was just that
Mhm.
little, it wasn't a big training we were doing. It was just a little thing of doing hose
Just a
advancements and
little
talking about
wins.
some other things. Just those little wins, man.
Yep.
And that meant so much. Like I'm in the right place.
Mhm.
I'm accepted. They
Yeah.
do believe in me, and they do trust in what I have to say.
Mhm.
And that's why you could try so much in those other departments. Like I said, when I was there, I learned to be humble. I realized that I was my attitude could be better, and it wasn't just my fault. It takes two sides,
Mhm.
but it meant it hurt me so much when that person in question just said, "No, you can't do it because you don't have this cert, or you have to do this, you have to do that." And
Yeah.
then you got the other department going, "No, you know this shit. Go ahead, teach
Yeah.
it."
Yeah. And right there, I'll hit on that. Like you can always tell who the guys who want to either better themselves or the department. You can identify these guys quickly, and then you can identify the guys who have an ego and who are threatened. I say
There it is,
threatened,
man.
who was someone who has this knowledge or who has the training, and they're threatened by this guy because they don't want their spotlight to be taken away. You can identify this quick, and it's within every
100%.
department. It's in every department. You know, that's the BS. That's everywhere. You can identify that quickly. But you don't need them. You don't need them. They're gonna make themselves look, lack of a better term, stupid. They're gonna make themselves look stupid, right? And ego is one big thing that I'm seeing, through the departments, is that's what's killing it. That's what's killing the drive and the progression of things is being threatened and having that ego. Because I had some guys coming to Cedar Park who I was timid. I was in the back. I wasn't saying anything. I was listening to discussions, and same thing like you. They said, "Hey, what do you have?" And that right there, I was like, "Hell yes, I'm here to stay. This place is awesome."
Yeah.
Then even right now, like even still being on probation, I have guys who reach out to me. I don't know the answer. I'm going to find out because I have guys who trained me, and I'm going to bridge that gap between us. And then here you go. Here's your answer. It wasn't from me, but I have resources that I could use that I'm willing to give to you, that we can make this department and ourselves better. I don't think people understand that when they become threatened and they have that ego, is that someone right here, you could use them. You could network within their network, and you could use them, but you're too egotistic to understand that, and you don't want your spotlight taken away from you, that you're ruining that. You're ruining this opportunity to meet people that you may not even meet in your life. And going back to what you're saying with staying humble, if people were to go to trainings frequently, go to trainings like where you and I go to trainings like Long Island, meeting people who have done it every day and who are still doing it every day, on how humble they take themselves to conference, you would never know that they were at 9/11 doing Spec Ops command. You would never have known
Right.
that because they don't show it on their shirt. They don't brag about it. You would never have known that this guy right here has made 5 grabs on one fire. You would have never known that because they don't take themselves to be, well, I'm all as be all. They have this ego. Hell no. They're going to buy you a round of beer and get to know you before they even say anything about themselves. If people were around those people frequently, they would see that they're not all be all. And I think that's what the fire service needs more. Be around these people who are doing it.
You just take that mic, dude, and just drop it right there, because that's what you just did. That was fantastic. Beautiful, dude. I mean,
Thank you.
this just shows it, right? Like, when you've got like-minded people who love the job but are into the craft, you see it,
Yeah.
being humble, not having an ego. And that comes with, again, like you just said, for the trainings and the people that we meet through that they've been humbled in life. They
Mm-hmm.
understand that I can't have an ego. You can't have an ego when you're teaching.
No.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
And I was teaching just the other day. I had a beautiful trip, beautiful day, beautiful environment to train a bunch of people who just wanted to learn more things, to learn how to do proper water application, to see how water is applied inside of a building. And these were volunteer guys from up north, and they spent their Saturday to listen to me talk and
Mm-hmm.
other instructors talk. And I made sure to let them know, like, this isn't the way. This is a way. And, I'm not here to tell you everything about me, my resume or what I telling you have to do. And there was no egos involved through all the instructors and through all the students, because even students can have egos, right? When you're a student and you can sit there and listen, and you're not going to hear anything because all you're thinking is, I know more than them, or I've had more jobs than them, or I had more grabs than them. Yeah. I mean, some people just don't have the luxury to have all those hands-on experience because that isn't their environment. It's not their community. So I think some students also go in with an ego, and they go in with a closed mind. And it was really nice to have a group of people, adults, to not have a closed mind. All of them were dialed in. All of them were open-eyed, ears open, asking great questions. And I think also, again, as instructors, to be humble and not have that ego.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody asks a really good question of why you're doing it this way, it's not, they're not questioning because of your knowledge, but they want to know, why do we have to do it this way?
Yeah.
And when you have that ego as an instructor, then you don't want to hear a student ask the why. That's when you see some of those instructors immediately cut them down and tell them, it's my way, and that's why you're doing it this way.
Yep, because they don't have an answer.
Those are the ones who don't have an answer. Those are the ones who haven't studied, haven't trained physically on it, and haven't done their homework and haven't done the background checks and get that data that's out there. And so when they say it's because of the way I've done it, then you don't know what you're talking about.
Like, right on.
And
we're
so
done here. I'm gonna go find another class.
Exactly. Yeah. So it takes both parts. The student needs to not have an ego, and the instructor needs not to have an ego. And like you said, man, you nailed it. I think we still have a lot of people in our world, in our community, that have major egos, and they are threatened with people that have the knowledge and the skills because they went out and got the knowledge and the skills. It just doesn't happen. You just don't come into fire and say, I have everything, and I'm going to go teach the world. No,
Exactly.
it takes years. You just don't get to do it overnight. And it goes to go in these conferences. Like you said, it's one of the reasons why I love going to these conferences, because man, it's the outside training, the outside education that I get, that's not in the classroom, that's not in my little bubble, pays dividends of doing this on the job, and then help to give that to others.
That's it.
That's right. Gaining that knowledge, and I'm absorbing as much as I can so I can give back to others. I'm going to take my sponge and I'm just going to wring it out into the other students so they can take their sponges and get all that, because that's what the fire service is supposed to be. We're supposed to be giving back and not hoarding our knowledge.
Exactly.
So
and
spot on, man.
That's it, man. Like, my battalion chief, he's like, we want to use your expertise, and when it comes to the truck company. And I said, sir, with all due respect, I'm no expert. I just paid a lot of money for training, and I'm willing to hand it off for free to whoever wants it, man. Like, I'm no expert. I've met experts, and they'll even say that they're experts. It's like you're saying, just don't have the ego. Don't have the ego.
If you think you're a master of this job, then you need to retire. No one's a master at this job, right? It's time to retire. Yeah.
Dead on.
So your passion is truck ops when it comes to the job. How did you get that passion? How did you become into truck operations?
Yeah. So going back to like what you're saying, as far as you get that humbling moment, truck ops really started with me joining Hutto. I wanted to take it seriously. Coming from that last department, and them having a ladder, it wasn't taken seriously. And I went to Hutto and I saw my opportunity to take that truck seriously. How I was raised up in the fire service, the ladder is a ladder. Like, not a lot of people have it. Be proud about it. Be proud of it. So that's what I did. I started to dive into it. Forcible entry was a thing that I messed up on during that fire. Search was another thing that I messed up during that fire. So I was like, okay, we're kind of going into truck ops. Started learning more and more about truck ops. I felt good. Went to Joey D for my first time, and I got to meet Matt Paglione and the rest of OSTA on scene training
Mm.
associates. I got to meet them, and I feel good. Like, I've done a lot of research. I've gone to some trainings in Texas about truck ops. I feel good. Humbling moment. Boy, howdy, was I not where I needed to be. And they explained that to me. Matt Pag really broke it down to me of truck ops, like what truckie is. And same with the rest of the OSTA cadre. They really broke it down on what a truckie is. And right there, I started really diving into truck ops. I was inspired that there's so much more to learn when it came to truck company. Truck and engine are both important. They support each other. When it comes to engine, I don't have the finesse for it. I don't. I found that out doing nozzle movements. Not flexible for one. Two, you got to be swifty with it. I work with a guy in my department now. His name's Holman. Dude is insane when he moves a nozzle. It's ridiculous. And I know me personally, I wouldn't be able to do that. So truck stuff, I like to break stuff. I like to search. I like to throw ladders. So I just started to be a fly to light when it came to that. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. That cadre and Pags alone really inspired me to start diving into truck ops.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. So now on your department, obviously I imagine you have a ladder truck.
Yeah.
Do they let you do a lot of training with that, since that is your passion? Do you get to do you get to ride on that truck, or do you sign to something different?
No, I'm a side. Yeah, we have a bucket. We call it it's truck one. So yeah, like my battalion chief has allowed me to start doing trainings with another guy, Cody. His name's Cody Durrett. We've been doing some trainings together. We got to do a shift one of search. You got to do like a real quick one. And he said now we're going to start doing training every couple of weeks. That's truck based. We have 3 trucks. Call them Quints. You know the Quint?
Yeah, we got 2 in my department.
Okay. I know people have their preferences when it comes to truck quints and all that. So, it is what it is. But we have 3 quints and 2 engines in our department. And yeah, we're able to start doing a lot more truck training, and they're using me. They're using me to all of this training that I spent money on just to hand it to them, which I have no problem doing. And
Yeah.
I still got to tread lightly. Personally, I'm going to tread lightly, being on probation. There's guys who ask for my opinion. We'll wait until I'm done. So wait until I'm done, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I would say that they're using me.
Well, here's a question for you. Since you are running quints, is having a quint, is that truck work or engine work?
So that is like a huge debatable thing. Our
Let's
truck.
go down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, so our truck, when it comes to Quint, man, I think it comes to as far as what the conditions dictate. So if we need to get water on the fire quick, obviously we're gonna be pulling a line. I'm more into of a thing where if we show up as our truck company, I say truck ups first. We pull a line, lay it right there in the front for the engine company, but we go inside with a can. Conditions dictate, though. That's my thing. And the guy who's in the back, Cody, with me, he's on the same page as I. And I would say that our company as a whole on V Shift, we're pretty stout to it as far as that goes. Man, I would say long answer to short, conditions dictate. Engine or truck if you're running a Quint.
So what does your department think about it? Do you have an SOP or guidelines of how that's supposed to operate? As you're riding the quint and there's fire showing, do they expect you to be operating as an engine company first and not grabbing a can?
It goes both ways. We do have a policy. We are a neighboring department to a bigger department because Austin. We're right next to. Like, we have 2 of their companies that will come to our structure fires quickly. Like, they're that close. It depends on who we're rolling with that time of day. It seems kind of off, but for within the department, it's the same thing. Conditions dictate. We have a pretty good, strong group of officers who would probably identify that pretty quickly. Like, we had a fire on C Shift, had a fire, and there was a Quint got there first, and they still had an engine pull a line. Like, they did a great job. Like, listening to the radio traffic, they did a great job. You know,
Hmm.
I think people have common sense to dictate which is which.
Yeah.
So it's we do have a policy, we have a response plan as well, but it just comes back to common sense when it comes to it.
How many on your truck?
We overstaff, so we usually have 6, sometimes 6. So
You
if
have
we have 6,
6 on your truck.
yeah, we so
Wow, dude.
so and it's cool. We don't run it like FD&Y 6. So we'll run 4, and then we'll put 2 on the rescue, and then we'll staff the rescue.
Okay.
So we have a rescue in house, but we will always take the rescue for fires, major car accidents, stuff like that, swift water, stuff like that. It will get deployed for those type of calls. But if we have 6, we usually do staff the rescue. But the reason why we have six is because we overstaff. So some people don't like the overstaff. I enjoy it because it cuts down MOT. So if someone calls off from like station 3, then one of us from station 1 will go float over there. So
Nice.
I'm a full-time floater. It is what it is. I don't care. I'm happy to be employed. So I don't mind floating. I think it's great. I think it's great that we have people who float so people can have off and people don't have that at MOT mandatory as
Yeah.
often. So I'm here to stay afloat as much as I need to. I don't really care about it. I think it's cool. I get to work with other crews as well. Even
Man,
if
that's
it's an
awesome.
engine company, whatever. I'll take it.
So that makes sense. So that's why you have, if lack of better words, you have the luxury of being able to operate both. You can
Yeah.
be the truck and deploy hand lines.
Yeah.
On my department, if it's in their district, and we have a bucket and we have a straight stick, and there's 3 guys on that apparatus. So it's kind of like you said, conditions are going to dictate.
Yeah.
Like the more likely they're going to have to deploy that line and get that line going first. The operator of that piece is going to have to do double duty. They're going to have to get that pump going for that hand line of that 2-person crew, and then get on and get that stick to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So with us being 3, it's a little bit different, and you do have to work on the fly and see where you're needed the most. Is it going to be the hand line first or the stick to the roof? So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think
Awesome, man.
goes back to common sense too. Like, what I'm saying, as far as you can't put in a policy the time frame on when an engine's going to approach, either behind you or in front of you, and then it's hard to dictate that because you never know. They may be on a call.
Exactly. I was just going to say they could be on another call.
Yeah. You just it's hard to put that in policy, it seems like. But
Yep. Cool, man. So now you also really do like search as well. What is it that really inspires you to be really into doing search?
So I did a class at C.A.N. I told them I really became inspired and passionate about search is when won that fire, not having an idea on how to do search, and really understanding what customer service is, going to different trainings and listening about different guys in their search aspect of things. One thing that really drove it home is when I had my daughter, my 3-year-old daughter, is how important search is, because I want someone to go find her. I want someone to find my family. So I think everyone should have that passion and that aggressive approach when it comes to search. It's the world is ours when it comes to search. VES is such a debatable thing when and when not to do it, right? If you do these things, you're providing customer service. There shouldn't be a question for it, and I like it because I think I really like it because not a lot of people like to do it or initiate it. So I think that's why I really have an urgency of doing it, is because it's something that not necessarily looked at as first thought. That's why I like it. I think it's something that sets you aside from others, and I think it's something that sets aside your department from other departments too. Like VES. I think VES is something that should be hit on quite often.
Yeah.
There's more studies out there. Pags did a class over there in McAllen with Seaside Consultants, and it was cool to listen to him. I got to be a student when I had my downtime and listen to him talk about VES. I'm like, damn, that's something to bring back. Like there's just so many
Yeah.
things to bring to the table when it comes to search, and I think that's why I like it. It's just there's always more studies and there's always new things when it comes to search, and that's why I think I like it. It just keeps me engaged. It keeps me engaged within the topic of it.
What is it when you're teaching search? What is it that you're trying to bring to the table to them? Is it the skill set, or is it the why behind it? I mean, when we teaching, we're also talking, so we're telling them the whys, but when you're teaching for you, what is it you're really trying to drive home with them? Are you trying to get them to understand the actual practicality of it,
Yeah,
and getting down and making sure they have the proper techniques,
yeah.
or is it something else?
So when I teach, I don't pretend to be something that I'm not, and that's something that I'll tell anyone from the beginning. I'm not going to say I've had 6 grabs, 8 grabs, 20 grabs. I'm going to tell you what's been taught to me. I'm here to give it to you. What I want to do when I teach search is give them a foundation for technique that's going to keep them in the game longer. So being on all fours, out the door, right? Let's tweak our search technique. Let's do a tripod, right? Let's talk
Yeah, man.
about the numbers, the threshold numbers, right? A lot of people will do the tick reading when they're doing the training, right? They'll be like, "Oh, I have 200 temp." What does that mean? Do you know what that means, right? When does your gear start breaking down? I like to stress the numbers. Like McAllen, I told them 162 degrees is third-degree burns. We've already hit, cardiac arrest, right? We can't fill 162 degrees because our gear that we spend $5,000 on is doing its job. We won't be able to fill that. So it's important for us to initiate the search fast and first, right, to get that customer service out. And that's what I really like to stress. I like to stress to where I can bring everything in that they've learned together.
Mm.
I got the ADHDs, and I'll tell anyone that. And when I have a lot of things going all over the place, it's hard for me to tie it in. So what I like to do is tie in everything that they may have learned from other trainings, this training, what they've read, and tie it in together, and that they can initiate their own tactics when it comes to training.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked. When I did C.A.N, I did a little bit of C.A.N stuff, right? Just showing them how to move the C.A.N, when to initiate the C.A.N, how to maybe implement stuff tactic wise. And what I really like to stress at the end of my training is how to combat the arguments. Like, why should we do this training? Why should we do search? Why should we do it so quickly? Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can combat these arguments with your chief, captain, whatever, to where you can provide that customer service.
I love it, dude. As I was talking to you, you inspired me to ask a question. So I was teaching up at my academy, and we were teaching some recruits and about masking up and getting in there and doing shit quick. And then someone yelled out and said, "Hey, they need to mask up without gloves on." And I turned to them and I said, "Why are we teaching them now to not do it with their gloves on?"
Yeah.
And so it was told to me that the carcinogens that are on their gloves is going to be introduced to them because when they mask up, you check your seal.
Check.
And so
Right
they're
on.
worried about the studies are showing, I don't know which study they got it from, but saying that masking up with gloves on is hazardous to your health. And I was dumbfounded by it. I didn't argue with them. I said, "All right, well,
Right on.
you guys are the boss, and we'll do it that way." But
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised by that because, I mean, if people want to mask up without their gloves on, who am I to tell them you can or cannot do it? I do it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think sometimes conditions dictate how you're going to mask up at times. I think it comes with experience. Sometimes you do it with your gloves on, sometimes you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to teach and practice of people doing with their gloves on.
Mm-hmm.
That day was really surprising to me when they said we want them to mask up without using gloves because their gloves potentially could have carcinogens in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was really surprised by that because I'm like, well, don't we wash our gear? If we're washing all of our gear,
yeah,
we're washing our gloves as well. And search, when we teach search, like, we want to be in there. We want to get our shit on quickly, and we want to get in that building and look for life.
Yeah.
Or find the fire.
Exactly.
And I was really shocked by that. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say,
or have you heard that before?
No, I haven't heard that before. put that into my notepad to how to combat that. I would say, man, the numbers don't lie. So if someone is masking up quicker with gloves on compared to someone who's not, the numbers are there. That's customer service numbers, Carcinogen numbers, that's way out of my Bill Nye scope. That's some Bill Nye stuff right there, right? But to combat that, okay, so they're getting carcinogens, then let them do it with the regulator already on, and they still have their gloves on, right? So if they're going
I
to look
like
for the
that.
seal, boom, regulator goes on. They have a glove on already. They're not getting carcinogens. They're breathing air. If they don't want to breathe the air, they unclick. There you go. That's how I would combat it with the chief. I'd be like, okay, you don't
I
want me
like
to
that.
breathe it in. I'm going to do it with the regulator then. So
Yeah, man, I like that very much. It just, it's some of the things that we battle when we're trying to teach, and you get conflicting points of views,
yeah,
and and then this is the problem, like the training scars and things like that, and even teaching scars when you're trying to teach a group, like, hey, we're going to do it this way, and then they come at you going and say, well, no, we're not teaching them that way anymore.
yeah,
And I think it's hard, especially for people or the kids. I mean, some of these people they're literally kids,
yeah.
and they're trying to learn the best way. And then you got someone like me going, "Hey, put your gloves on before you mask up."
Mm-hmm.
And then you got people coming over and saying, "No, no, 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 no." So then they
Yeah,
get in the field, or they go to these other trainings, and hey, we want you to mask up with your gloves on, and then, well, sorry, I've never done that because of cancer.
yes, yep,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
but I love and I think I'm going to bring that to the next class I teach. Though, is all right. If you don't want to do it with gloves on, they're going to keep the regulators on
yeah.
and mask up that way,
Boom.
and we can show them a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Just combat
Yep,
it,
I love it.
And the McAllen, we had a department who said that they don't mask up at the door. They mask up. They have the mask coming off the rig. So I was like, okay, let's talk about it. Are you always going to have your mask on when you're staging? And they said, probably. And I was like, all right. I said, here's one scenario. You're throwing a ladder and then all of a sudden someone just bolts back into there and you don't have a mask on. Now how do you mask up? And then we were able to start analyzing, okay, you're not always going to have your mask on, but you may, but here's the times that you won't. Let's practice masking up. And I was able to do that. So that was pretty cool.
Good, I love it.
Yeah.
So now you're the owner of Coyote Fire Training.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that? Like, how? First off, how did you come up with the name?
So Coyote Fire Training, man, I wanted something that was kind of not like menacing, but I wanted something that's going to hunt the sheep within the department. There's a lot of sheep in the department who will follow the ways that are easy. So if they follow those ways, they're sheep, and I call them sheep. And I always had that mindset. So I wanted something. I was like, what hunts sheep? And then I was like, oh, coyotes are kind of cool. I looked it up, and then sure enough, coyotes hunt sheep. So I ran with it, man.
At least you looked it up first.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I had to do a lot of research. I was like, all right, nah, I don't watch a lot of Animal Planets. Let me make sure I have this right. So I like coyote, man. I like how they move. They do. We have a lot of coyotes here in Texas, and I think they're just cool animals, to be honest. And I think that they do a pretty good. It represents hunting the sheep well. Anyone could do like the wolf, right? But the wolves are big. Those are too big. I'm not a big dog here, So that's why I like the coyotes. They're small, like a kind of like the underdog.
Yeah, man. So you say you created the company in hopes of spreading passion and helping establish a truck-based foundation for other like-minded firefighters in the departments. Isn't not just truck-based too? It sounds like you've expanded also to some other things. Obviously not engine work, but is there anything also that you do with that company?
So I did do a lot of engine stuff at first, but I wanted to stick with what I'm passionate about. And a lot of my mentors have really helped me with this training company. And just a backstory on it, it's helped me. They've helped me kind of go the right way. Don't pretend to be something that you're not. And that's really been stressed to me. And I'm gonna make sure that I do that. I'm gonna make sure that I fulfill that. They said stick within your wheelhouse. You don't have to be good at everything. I was like, oh shit, that's a good point as well. So
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. They said, just make sure that you're doing it right, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. So like big things that I'm working on is bringing in people for my training to teach a class. So I want to bring in people to host a class. That's what I want to do. Coyote Fire Training is here to bridge the gap. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to make a dime off departments. I'm not here to, to pretend that something I'm not. I'm here to bridge a gap, and I want to bring in training. I may have my own training company, but that's not necessarily what I'm here to do. OSTA, that's a training company to me. If someone's here to bridge the gap, sure, you're a training company, right? Same as me, right? But there's other training companies that have the knowledge to bring to the table that I hold to a very high standard compared to myself. So I'm here to bridge the gap. Like you were saying, you want to start your own training company. Let's bridge the gap together.
Yeah,
I
man.
think anyone can do that, right? But you have to do it the right way. So that's the backstory of me. It's doing it the right way. I want to bring people in. I want to get the fire service together. Let's push out the people who have egos. Let's push out the sheep, and let's come together as like-minded firefighters and bridge the gap. All the way from New Hampshire to Texas. How cool would that be to bridge a gap? That's what it should be.
Yes.
So I would bring in these training companies who are training companies, like OSTA and so forth. Like those are the guys that should be known. Those are the guys whose message should be shared. And I don't think a lot of people know how to either hear that message or how to get it from them, or even how to get them. So I just want to bridge the gap, man. But truck company stuff, that's what I like to do. I like to do search, forced entry, and ladders. I like to bring techniques that people maybe have never seen, and I like to make things easier on people and start a foundation for them with that. Some departments just don't stress on it. Some departments just don't train just because they have a ladder. They're like, oh, we're just going to do truck ops. Well, what is truck ops for you? And that's what
Yeah.
I want to bring.
When you go into these, if departments are hiring you to come in and help do some training, do they tell you what they're looking for, what they're lacking in certain areas, or what they want to see their crews improve on, so you have an idea of where to start?
Yeah. So I had a department outside of San Antonio. They reached out to me, and we worked on different things. I asked them, I said, what are you exactly looking for, though? I don't want to bring something that they can't use,
Yeah.
So I asked them, I said, what are you looking for as far as limited staffing? I'm big on limited staffing. I like to do limited staffing tactics. And, we talked about it. We talked about as far as like engine versus truck, and when to initiate search. We got to do a lot of that stuff. And I think interviewing these departments first to what they want and what they need is important, rather than giving them a curriculum that's way out of your wheelhouse or what they're not even doing. So I like to interview departments. I shouldn't say interview, but I like to ask the department what they're really wanting.
Yeah. That's great, man. I think that's like super important. We can't just go into area departments and start just laying down what we think they need, or what we're telling you to do. Like, you need a goal, you need a direction, and it definitely, as being an outside company, you need to listen to your customers and give them the skills that they're paying you to give to their other guys. So that's awesome, dude. I love it. Now, before we start winding this down, how did you come into the fire service? I never got that backstory. Like, did you always want to be a firefighter, or like, how did you come into this?
I wanted to do something. I wanted to give back to my community. I wanted to do the military. No, it was not going to happen. My mom said no, and also my girlfriend, who is now my wife, said no. So I was like, okay, I move on. The very beginning, I wanted to do SWAT. And I was like, "Ooh, I want to do SWAT. They're breaching doors." I found out I had to be a cop first. And I was like, "Okay, well, I just want to go into SWAT." That wasn't going to happen. Then I looked at being an architect. I looked at that for like maybe 2 days because I found out how much math was involved. Not going to happen. So my grandma has called me her God's warrior. She said, "You'll always do great for other people." So
That's awesome.
I wanted to do something, and it's actually a complete circle. Is that I wanted to do something and join the fire service was next. The department that I'm at now actually visited my high school to do a teen advocate program to like get people into the fire service and show them. My department now actually got me into this is my career. So it's a complete circle. And then department.
So they came to your school to talk about the fire service, and that's sparked you to join the fire service.
Yep.
Love it.
Did that, and I actually grew up within the city that I work for now. So I actually grew up in Cedar Park and Leander. So it's been cool, man. And it's been
badass.
it's a complete circle. So they got me into the fire service and I'm going it.
I talk about that a lot. We need to do that more. We need to get into the schools and talk about our job, talk about the career of the fire service. I know we do career day. A lot of places do career day, but I think we need to do more than just career day. And I've said it many, many times, and I'll keep preaching it, that we need to talk to the at-risk youths. We need to, the ones who are going to be positive, might drop out of school because they don't have a direction. And go into the schools and talking to the teachers and say, hey, who really needs to hear from us? Who is it that doesn't have a direction? Who do you fear is going to be dropping out, or maybe when they leave this place that they might be in danger of falling into the wrong crowd or going down a wrong path. And I think the fire service can lead those kids that are looking for a life and a family, because we're a family. And I think that if we let them know, like, hey, you come to us, we're going to be your family, and you're going to have a direction in life, and we're not going to let you fail. Exactly. I think we're going to get a lot better kids into that. And like you said, you've come full circle. You've come back home, because your fire department came to your school and told you guys about the job, and that you can do this. And I think that's so cool. Like, we need to definitely be out in the schools more, especially since we're hurting for manpower, we're hurting for recruitment. I think that if we definitely tap the schools and tell them, like, hey, we'll lead you to where you need to go, I think that will help get our numbers where they need to be, and get some really great people. Dude, that's awesome, man. I love the fact that you've gone full circle. And you're back home and you're doing what you love. Super cool, dude.
That's what I'm saying,
man. It's been a pleasure, man. It has been. I could talk for another hour. I mean, I would love to talk more about everything that we love to talk about. It has been an absolute honor, my friend. I can't appreciate you enough, dude. It's been great.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude. I hope to talk with you more. Anything else before we wind down? Is there anything I missed, or anything else you want to bring in there?
No.
Where are you going next? Where are you training next on?
Right now, man, just the big one that I have coming up is Joey D in Houston. Be helping out Steve over there. That's the biggest one. So I'll do a big shout out for that one. Whoever's available for Houston is going to be in the Houston training field this year. It's going to be the wealth of knowledge there. A lot of good names.
That's awesome, bro.
Big classes are going to be coming. Steve's doing a good job with Joey D this year, or this next coming year.
Fantastic. I know I'm hoping I can do it, brothers. Bears of the Oath is coming up in February. Registration's open for Bears of the Oath. If anyone's looking for some good, solid training and some serious brotherhood, please check out Bears of the Oath. You can find them on Facebook. Our again, registrations are open. I've never been. I'm hoping to go. I've heard nothing but amazing things. Shane Bentley runs it, and anyone knows who Shane is. He is a stellar dude and cares about us, cares about the fire service. He loves God and he loves doing this job. And I'm hoping to go to that. I'm also give props to Dadgum Fire Conference. That's going to be registrations opening soon for their conference in May. Would you happen to be going to that one there, man? Or you think you'd be able to go?
I don't know if I'll be able to go to that one in May. I think I have some classes that my department's putting on that I have to do. So we'll see.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm definitely, that's going to be my annual retreat. So I'm looking forward to that one. Anyone who's listening, please check out Bears of the Oath, check out Dadgum Fire Conference, Joey D in Houston. It's all of these conferences that we're talking about are huge, not just to hang out and just drink beer. This is about learning the craft, meeting new people, getting skills, networking, brotherhood, sisterhood. If you're feeling down about yourself and you need a break, you go to these conferences. They do help immensely. They help with mental health. They help you to just bring it all in perspective. And you get to meet awesome people like Donovan, who just loves to be around people, super humble, and he's a wealth of knowledge. So anybody who gets a chance to learn from Donovan, please look up Coyote Training, Fire Training. He is on Instagram. The dude's got some great clips. He's got his your logo, by the way, is badass. I love that logo.
I appreciate that, dude.
That's aggressive, dude. That's a badass freaking logo. Still waiting for my hat. So once we get that,
I know. I have your hat. I'm not sure what's up. The sweatshirts are in production. I had a big mishap with that guy, but he's working on it. I promise you I'll
Nice.
get it.
Do you want to give props out to the person who did your artwork at all?
Which one?
I don't know. Whoever did your stuff.
Ooh La
Yeah.
La Custom Fronts did a lot of my artwork. I'll give a huge shout out to that guy. That guy's awesome. I love his
What
work.
was his company again?
Ooh La La Custom Fronts. It's
Ooh La La, okay.
Carbon's art. He's on Instagram. Anytime I need a logo, I hit him up. Like he's been awesome.
I have one of his shirts.
Yeah. So he does like the apparel and all that stuff. He does leather chin straps. I reached out to him for leather chin straps. He made a leather front for me. He's an awesome dude. He's based out of Colorado. So I get the Colorado some love since where I was born. So he's an awesome dude. Yeah.
So
he's a good dude.
Well, since we just touched on that, so you started in Colorado and now you're in Texas?
I was born in Colorado, but raised in Texas, pretty much, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So they wouldn't.
All right, man.
Native.
Well, it's like I was born in New Mexico,
Okay.
and so I got the shirt on to represent.
Hey,
but yeah, I was born in New Mexico, but pretty much spent my whole life in New Hampshire.
Okay, right on.
I just spent like informative years in New Hampshire, New Mexico. But
yep.
I go there every time I can go there because my family still lives there.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Awesome, bro.
That's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, like I said, dude, it was an absolute pleasure. It was so cool talking with you. I hope a lot of people got out of a lot of information from this. And if you're looking for training, please reach out to Coyote Fire Training. The dude is top notch. Donovan Carrasco of the Cedar Park Fire Department, dude. Awesome.
Yes,
so
sir.
just hang right there. We're going to finish this and I'll be talking a little bit. Hold on one sec. All right, everybody. You guys have a great day. Thank you all for listening. Please tune in, subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.